Are we live?
Armed conflict.
Ooh. Making sure we're live. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live. The Super Bowl. Let us talk about the Super Bowl. All right. All right. Let me see if I can go to the back end. Let's see what's going on. The Super Bowl. Okay. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl? What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Beyonce has dropped new music also. So there are a few things I want to talk about today. I just want to get more people in the live stream. I want to get more folks in the live stream. A few things I want to talk about today. The Super Bowl, first of all, that's the first order of business. And the question as to whether or not black folks should boycott the Super Bowl. Should black folks boycott? And then, of course, I'm going to talk about black economic empowerment. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. But let's start. Let's get into this video. Now, let us get into this video. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the Super Bowl. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl? Was it fun? I really enjoyed Usher's performance. Actually, so basically, the whole idea of like getting Paramount Plus, I guess I bought Paramount Plus after Usher's performance, so I missed it, and so I had to wait for it to come on YouTube. That's why I'm a little bit late in my live stream. But I don't know, like I think it was good. I think it was phenomenal. I saw some of the comments, people reacting to the Super Bowl. People were not feeling it. Some people were talking about how, it's 2024. Why is Usher performing? You get a lot of mixed reactions. And it's actually kind of crazy because I almost feel as though because of the new age of social media and because of capitalism, we don't have any new celebrities. And hear me out when I say that. We have no new celebrities in the sense that studios want to invest in what already exists. It's easier to put your money into something that is a proven model that has an established brand and audience than investing in something new. And it's just as though like traditional media used to, trash on new media, and all the new stars are in new media. And so now they're only putting money in old media talent. And that's why you have all these people performing, all the superstars today, because they are depicted as superstars, not because they get the most attention. But the superstars today, the people that traditional media elevate, tend to be people who were famous 11 plus years ago. I think the threshold is like, but none of these new guys are performing at the Super Bowls. Like, why isn't like someone like Dua Lipa, Justin Bieber, why aren't they performing at the Super Bowl? Why do we have these people that were hot 20 years ago performing at the Super Bowl? It's just really interesting. And it's something to think about, how traditional media backs their own, and only support their own. And I'm not dogging on Usher. I'm a big fan of Usher. I loved his Super Bowl performance. It was killing it. But I can only imagine, because when I'm looking at the comments about the Super Bowl, I could only imagine what somebody that's like 20 or 19 thinks about Usher's performance. Like, it's almost like when I was young watching music from the 80s at this, like, it doesn't, like, you wouldn't want to watch that. It's like, oh, that's your parents' music, So I understand when I was looking at the comments and they were like, why on earth is Usher performing? These must be like Gen Z, maybe even Gen Alpha. And it's like, yo, why are they playing this old music? So that's one thing that I was thinking about. Another thing I was thinking about is that Chris Brown really effed up. And this is not me trying to take any of Usher's accolades or discredit him. Usher is a phenomenal act. He's just a phenomenal superstar. But when I think about what Chris Brown was supposed to be, when I think about how big Chris Brown was supposed to be, and I juxtapose that against what he is today, it's really unfortunate to me that he would have been sitting in that spot. He would have been somebody that the Super Bowl would have said, let's put Chris Brown there. And it's almost a lesson in life that if you mess up, there's somebody to replace you, even if we have to get the person that was there before you. Because Usher was the OG. He paved the way for people like Chris Brown. We'll get the OG, before we hire you, because you don't know how to act. There are certain rooms that Chris Brown will never be allowed into. And he always wants to blame it on him and Rihanna, which is a lie, because everybody forgave him after Rihanna. After the Rihanna incident, he was forgiven. He went back to the Grammys, and he's won Grammys. He's been celebrated. It's the consistent behavior of abuse. And actually, I would even say that Chris Brown helped spearhead Usher's career. He helped, no, not spearhead, that's the wrong word, revive, because Usher was obviously big before Chris Brown even existed. But Chris Brown helped revive Usher's career last year. Usher capitalized on a few viral moments that really, advertised his Vegas residency. The viral challenge of, I'm not going to sing for you, but you know what I'm saying. That viral challenge, the viral challenge on TikTok, what is Usher doing at 7 o'clock? And he even incorporated it into his performance. But most importantly, I think the real thing that made Usher get so much attention last year is when Chris Brown beat him up. Chris Brown punched him allegedly. I think that helped with Usher's reviving, because there's something about, in filmmaking, in writing, screenwriting, we have this thing called, there are things that you have to put in a character that your audience are going to root for that character. They're going to love that character, right? And some of the things are stuff like, they have to be confident, they have to be likable, there are all these things. But one key component in that is the unfair injury, the victimhood. People rush towards victimhood and sympathy. Taylor Swift has yielded this as a superpower, which propelled her into superstardom. It was her being a victim when, what's his name? The guy she was dating, Nick Jonas, one of the Jonas brothers, when he broke up with her on a text message, it was her being a victim when Kanye West. Taylor Swift is the perpetual victim, and she uses that to her advantage to yield public sympathy. And so I say all that to say, Usher benefited from the victimhood of Chris Brown beating him up last year. And when he beat him up last year, everybody was sympathizing with Usher. Everybody was looking for Usher. Is he okay? Is he okay? So that's what I got to say about that. Super Bowl performance, great. We had Usher. He had her. I loved when her came on. That was the best part for me. He had her. He had Alicia Keys. We heard he was going to have Lil Jon, Ludacris. He had Will.i.am, which is unexpected. And the dancing, his dance moves are phenomenal. And the fact that he's able to do that on like grass, he's able to do a moonwalk on grass is crazy to me. So that was a great thing. And Beyonce broke the internet with her ad. Let me see if I can find the ad. She broke the internet. She had an ad, a Verizon ad, which was really cute. But in addition to that, she dropped some music. And I'm like, is Beyonce just like not trying to let everybody like let Usher shine or let anybody else shine? Like she always like, has to steal the show. Beyonce. Let me see. Beyonce. Verizon. And what do you guys think about? Okay, here's a Beyonce Verizon ad. Let me see. Wait, what? Okay. Let me play this. And then she dropped new music. Personally, I am not a fan of the new music, but let's check out the Verizon ad for Beyonce.
Broke the internet again.
Did you post this?
No. Well, not on purpose.
Well, it's coming in hot.
It's Verizon 5G. The network is crazy powerful. I bet you can't break that.
I bet I can.
Wait, what?
Beyonce breaks the internet, but can she break Verizon?
Broken?
No.
Time for a surprise drop.
That's cute.
Did I break it?
You broke me. Oh, no.
Say my name.
Sleatse.
Aw.
But it still didn't work, so.
Introducing Beyonce I.
What?
Seriously? How about Barbie? I'm running for Beyonce of the United States. Can you hear me now?
Bonus, that's cute.
I thought you meant in the sphere.
No, on the spear.
Still working.
How about the first woman to launch the first rocket for the first performance in space?
That'd be so dope.
Didn't break.
Damn.
You ain't gonna break me.
Still works.
Okay, they ready. Drop the new music.
That's cute. And then she dropped new music, and that's how she broke the internet. That's very cute. The new music. The new music of Beyonce's, I was not feeling it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is that we're watching here with Beyonce. I don't know what this new music is. I don't know. Well, like, I was so confused. Let's look at her. So she dropped this ad. Then on her Instagram, she had the new music. And then on her website, when you go to her website, let's find it. Yeah. On her website, she has these 2 new singles. And I don't know what she means by Act 2. Is it like Renaissance Act 2? And it's going to drop. Like, this is somebody that's so prolific. I don't understand. She just dropped an album. She dropped an album in 2022. And then she did a tour in 2023. And now she's back again with new music. Girl, prolificy. Oh, I guess like she just dropped these because I was on her website. She looks like her mom. Damn. I was on her website a few moments ago. And this wasn't there. Yeah. So this is new. Okay, Beyonce. Yeah, so she has new music. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's very country. Is this like Beyonce's country album? I hope not. I hope not. But okay, let's get into the meat of this conversation. We've talked about Beyonce. We talked about Usher. Great Super Bowl performance. But what I really want to talk about is Black economic empowerment. Should we boycott the Super Bowl? Should we boycott the Super Bowl? Should we boycott white run events? This is what I want to talk about today. Should we boycott? And let me just go through the description of this video. Okay, let's see. So this video what do I want to talk about? All right, let's discuss Black economic empowerment. Elon Musk says diversity, equity, and inclusion must cease to exist. He said DEI must die. DEI must DIE is what he said. However, the entertainment industry survives off of exploitation of Black athletes, musicians, and actors. Without our talents, they would be irrelevant. Should we boycott them and focus on building Black-owned institutions? The West is... Okay, so let's talk about this, right? So Elon Musk says diversity, equity, and inclusion must die. And so if diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're seeing this rush, right? We're seeing this rush from these white-owned organizations. They're rushing to defund, deprogram, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They don't want to put their money in us. And as much as like every community has a right to spend their money how they want to spend it, I think it's time for Black people to start thinking inward. I think it's time for Black people to start investing in Black people. You guys saw this New York Times article. The world is becoming more African. Let me open this article up. The world is becoming more African. And this idea is that, let me show you this article. And I haven't read the article thoroughly, but this is the article, right? Old world, young Africa. Right? So the world is becoming more African, right? By 2050, they predict that 1 in 4 people will be African. And this has to do with our, rise in our population boom. All of these things come into effect. So if the world is becoming more African, it means not only are we going to be the global majority, but our consumption will be the majority. So it's like now is the time to start building out the infrastructure to make sure that Black people have ownership and Black people dictate where our dollars go and Black people buy Black. And there are already efforts to combat this facts, right? There are efforts to combat the fact that, the West is looking more inward. The West is saying, let's keep our money to ourselves. Let's invest in ourselves, right? We have Amazon pulling out of Nigeria because Amazon Prime pulls out it defunds its African content because media is propaganda, right? Whatever media you promote is propaganda. So they defund that and they say they're going to spend their money on European cinema, European products. Not only that, Issa Rae was complaining recently that there's a defunding, right? There's a defunding of Black shows on television. And it's almost like we've been given this taste of hearing our voices through cinematic storytelling. And we're now like, we're not going to go back. There's a thirst for high quality Black African content, and it's not going away. And right now we are at the grassroots side of it, in terms of us, of ownership and investment. But we have to understand as Black people that Investing in black media is fundamental to dictating black perspective because media is influential. Media, brainwashes minds, dictates minds. So if we want to decolonize African minds, we have to control our media. We cannot allow the white power structure dictate what we watch and what we believe. And so I want to show you this guy. I saw this thing, it went viral. He said, so think about this, right? The world is becoming more African. 1 in 4 people are going to be African in 2050. Now is the time to, that's how many years? 26 years. Now is the time to start investing in black content, black economic empowerment, and making sure that we own the full beginning, middle, and end. And this is a good thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion being defunded is a good thing because as the white people or the whites start saying, let's invest in ourselves, we start saying, well, let's invest in ourselves. And now we get to own our entire value chain. And it's important that we do this because there are already people that are starting to look at us as they're hearing this news about the rise of Africa. There are a lot of Westerners who want their power back. So this guy, his name is Eric Prince, private military contractor, advocates for recolonization of Africa. This is real. This is real. Okay, let's check this out.
To put the
Wait, hold on.
The imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes.
Of course he would say this. This is
the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is the wildest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, when you think about the whole situation that we are in, right? The people that colonized, disenfranchised us, and made sure economically we are unable to stand on our own 2 feet. Anytime that African leaders want to make a change, they are killed, right? Anytime African leaders want to start progressing their people, they are killed. And this military guy, who's obviously a man of war, a man of death, right? He wants to take control of Africa again. He wants to take power and seize power of Africa again. Let's see what else he had to say.
Building a mind isn't so difficult. So I set off to start a private equity fund a few years ago.
It's very scary how these people have access to financing, and we have to be paying attention to this.
A bit of money. We ended up building a mine in Guinea, a bauxite mine, Alufair. We were very early investors on. We have a great copper block in the DRC. We found a lot of...
And we know what's going on in DRC. We know how they're exploiting these countries. And so there's this sort of air of entitlement that we deserve to govern black bodies. We deserve to control black people. We own, like he's already a colonizer. He's a colonizer, right? Or neo-colonialist. And he's out here talking about owning all these mines that are exploiting the DRC, displacing people in the DRC where there's war. So we know he's already taking over. And the greed is just so much. He wants to spread it across Africa to ensure that, white society, the white power structure, the West continues to, stronghold its grip.
Copper where no one had thought to look yet. And we built a geoscience business. And now that having gone well, decided to have a bigger go and then maybe building a mine.
So
It's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves.
Like, he's so frustrated. And it's crazy to me, like, you think that for some reason you think, let me see the comments, because like you think that you can govern better when you are exploiting people. You are exploiting people. You're not even governing America right, but you get to dictate who is governing their land better or right when you can't even govern America. It's just the audacity. It is the audacity of this. And so this is the mentality that's being pushed by people like him, people like Elon Musk, all these, mentalities around white supremacy. These are the mentalities being pushed. I don't know why I can't click on the comment section, but these are the mentalities that are being pushed. And as Black people, we need to stay aware of what our threats are. We need to be aware of what our biggest threats are. And we need to think about how, oh damn, Tyrese's girl left him. This is another conversation. Hold on. Tyrese says his fiance left him. Whew. This is juicy. Tyrese says his fiance left him, quite frankly, because she's tired of living in the shadows of his ex-wife. Oh, that's another this is tea. Breaking. But let's get back to this conversation about neocolonialism. Unless you guys want to see. Okay, let's quickly get this tea. Because Tyrese be ranting and shit.
Now that we got that out the way, my lawyers, my managers, everybody's pissed. I just released my double album today.
What?
But it's only available for 10 hours. 50 Cent, Cat Williams, Kanye, forgive me. I used you for clickbait. Watch the trailer.
Anyway, not watching any of that. Messy, but back to what I was saying, right? So we need to start thinking about building systems and frameworks that make sure that not only do we empower ourselves, that we stop with the colonial mindset of thinking, oh, the West needs to invest in us. This entitlement also, this thinking that you're going to be a king in somebody else's castle. Thinking, how can you go to your neighbor's house and ask for the master bedroom and think you deserve the master bedroom? You get the master bedroom in your own house. So as Black people, we need to build our own houses, and we need to look to Africa, look to the resource-rich Africa. Black Americans, come back to Africa, invest in Africa. Yes, it's going to be rough from the beginning, but this is the only way that we build systemic change and we have ownership, because you are welcome in Africa. So DEI must die. And if we don't do this, let's talk about what happens when we don't look out for ourselves, when we don't do what we're supposed to do, when we don't empower ourselves. What happens to us? Let's look at some great examples. Let's start with Snoopdog. This is a great story. So Snoopdog and Master P are suing. They are suing Walmart. Sue Walmart. Snoop Dogg, Master P, sue Walmart. Let's check this out.
Is there a doctor on the plane?
The name's Umstick. Dr. Umstick. Get my...
These ads. Maybe I should just hide it for now. Sheesh. Okay, wait. There we go. We see it.
Laid back. With my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Snoop
Snoop Dogg certainly has his money on his mind and his business ventures. The Long Beach rapper and his fellow musician turned businessman Master P are taking legal action against a major retailer. They claim they've been discriminated against. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes has the story.
Snoop Dogg and rap laid back go hand in hand, but Snoop Dogg and cereal?
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg.
Well, that's a duo he's hoping will go spoon in mouth. But the Long Beach-born rapper and his cereal business partner, rapper Master P, say cereal giant Post and retail giant Walmart have quashed their efforts to get Snoop cereal on store shelves.
How come all these knockoff brands are successful and we don't have a chance?
This was collusion. This was breach of contract.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing Broadus Foods, the company formed by Snoop Dogg and Master P. They are suing Post and Walmart. Crump released this video he says shows people searching Walmart shelves across the country failing to find Snoop cereal. He says that's despite having a sales contract with Walmart and Post to carry their products. So where was all the Snoop cereal? According to the video, it was still sealed in its shipping boxes.
People who wanted affordable, nutritious cereal could not find them.
Post didn't respond before deadline, but Walmart issued a statement that reads in part, Walmart values our relationship with our suppliers, and we have a strong history of supporting entrepreneurs. Many factors affect the sales of any given product, including consumer demand, seasonality, and price, to name a few. But Snoop and Master P say this is more than just a standard business disagreement affecting two wealthy rappers. They say it could bleed down to other Black-owned companies that are not getting a fair chance at building generational wealth.
This is about minority-owned companies getting a fair share.
Give Black-owned businesses a genuine chance to succeed and build the intergenerational wealth promised by the American dream.
In Westchester, Rob Hayes, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
So, again, it goes back to what I'm saying, right? You're going into somebody else's house and you're asking for the master bedroom, or you're asking for a guest bedroom. Not everybody has to give you a guest bedroom in their house. They might say sleep on the couch. They might say sleep on the floor. They might say you're not welcome in our house. So there's this need and desperation, you know, and I get it. With capitalism, you need money now. You're not thinking about money in the next 20 years. You're not thinking about this, you know, statistics about, you know, 2050. You're thinking about, I need to make money now. But we have to plan together. We have to come together and put money into the Black community globally. 1 in 4 people on planet Earth will be African, will be Black by 2050, in 26 years. We need to start investing in ourselves. We need to start having complete ownership of the entire value chain. Because you go to Walmart, Walmart is still a white-owned company. They have every incentive to sabotage you, because why should they help you? Out of like generosity, when they can help a white business thrive? If you really have to understand what capitalism is and its foundations and its roots in white supremacy for you to understand why capitalism was never designed for Black people to thrive, and now why we need to, as Black people, change the structure and start investing in ourselves. So there's another clip that I saw that I wanted to evaluate. There are a few things, so many things going on, so many things to evaluate. But let me see, earn your leisure. There we go. Earn your leisure.
This is a public service announcement.
No. All right. A few interesting things I saw from this is one of them, but there's another one I saw. This is one of them. I'm going to talk about all of these things. Jeff Bezos sells $2 billion worth of Amazon shares in his first stock sale since 2021. Okay, so few things to look at. The truth about black vote and support for no. So these two, we're going to evaluate these two. But there's one that I saw. Okay, let's look at this one, right? This is about the CEO of BET.
Ebony was getting $20,000 for a full-page ad when Esquire was getting $200,000. Ebony was bigger than Esquire. Read Brett Pulley's book, The $1 Billion Bet, the unauthorized biography of Bob Johnson and BET. In the book, Brett Pulley writes that when Viacom bought BET, they discovered that BET was getting $1,500 for a 30-second for an ad, and the same ad MTV was getting for $8,000. Let me blow y'all away. Do the math. $1,500 and $8,000. That's a $6,500 difference. Imagine if Bob Johnson and Sheila Johnson had been getting fair market value from day one. That means that BET sold for $2.4 billion plus $400 million in debt. That's $2.8 billion. If they had been getting fair market value, BET could have actually been worth $6 billion, and Bob and Sheila could have sold a third of BET for $2.8 billion and still owned it. Ebony was getting $20,000.
So I love Roland Martin. He gets, a lot of this information about the media industry in general. He always drops the facts. I commented on this. I want to see if I can access my comments. Why can't I access my comments? Wait. Oh my gosh.
Ebony was getting
You know what? I'm going to have to probably read out my comments. What I had to say about that. Because I was in the comments section. Okay. This is my response to this, right? So they say BET lost $3.2 billion in valuation because they were underpaid by advertisers. How do you get underpaid by advertisers? Explain that to me. So my response was, at a certain point, you have to take accountability. I'm all for Black economic empowerment. I stand for it. It is my life's purpose. However, when you own a business, you dictate your prices. You have the power to accept and deny customers. The fact that BET/Ebony didn't do their due diligence to find out ad rates on other magazines or platforms is plain incompetence. All you had to do was pick up a phone and pretend to be a customer to find out their rates. So that's number one. Number two, Ebony/BET should have sought out and amplified Black-owned businesses to their large viewership. They are part of the problem. Media gives you power. You control the minds of millions. They could have spent their time convincing Black people to only buy Black. Instead, they focused on empowering people like Bernard Arnault, the richest man in the world, owner of LVMH, who doesn't even respect us. Sure, a lot of Black-owned businesses didn't have the funds to pay, so there's an argument, right? They want to make $200,000 an ad. Black businesses can't afford that. That's the mentality, unfortunately. But what happens when you put money, think about what Ebony BET was back in the day. They were the shade room, right? They were the pinnacle of attention for Black entertainment. And so when you promote a product on their platform, people would buy it. Of course, the consumerism wasn't at the extent that it is today, but people would purchase, right? So I said, sure, a lot of Black-owned businesses didn't have the funds to pay, but you promoting them on your large viewership would have given them the funds. Look what happens to folks that promote their businesses on the Shade Room today. BET could have started with a deal like 10% equity in their gross revenue every month and they are and they get on the magazine, right? And you can audit them or threaten to ban them from your platform if they don't pay up. Because BET was the only one doing this at the time, they would have complied. So my thing is that we have to start thinking about building sustainable development, right? We have to think about, bootstrapping and building from the ground up. Yes, today you might not be as profitable, but what are you going to be in 5, 10, 15 years? When you think as a collective of Black people, empowering Black people as a collective, we go much further. It's like the African proverb, right? Go alone. What do they say? Go alone. I can't remember what happens when you go alone, but when you go with a bunch of people, you go far. Right? So if we want to, I should know this quote. What's the quote? Hold on. Go alone. Go alone. Go far. Fast. That's it. Go alone, go fast. Go together, go far. And unfortunately, a lot of Africans, Black people, have been raised to think, let me, trade with the colonizer because they're going to give me more money today. And they end up robbing their people in the long run. This is what my ancestors did during the slave trade. This is what people, my ancestors did this in the slave trade. This is what, the house slaves did. The COONs do. COONs, that's what they do. You sell out your people for a quick buck today, but you rob your destiny. And we need to stop thinking like that. We need to stop thinking about quick cash, and we need to start thinking about systemic development from the grassroots. BET in the 90s, in the 2000s, had the power to push for Black economic empowerment, to make multiple Black millionaires and billionaires. They had the power to do that. But they didn't take advantage of it. Probably lack of, it takes some guts. It takes being a visionary. It takes guts to do this. Most people, and it takes, hey, not wanting to be, it takes bravery to do this. It takes fearlessness to do this. And a lot of people in that day and age, they just didn't have it, right? They didn't have the fearlessness. They didn't have the access to information that we have now. But in today's era, this is really something that can be done. The point is, we have to work as a community and be patient to build up our community. Otherwise, we will always be guests in someone else's house. So we have to look at the future and understand, guys, in the next 26 years, 1 in 10 people in this world will be Black, will be African. How can we ensure that we build products and services today that elevates those people? Sure, you might not make the bulk of the cash today, but in the next 26 years, you're going to be rich as long as we take the right steps. How can we do that? And when you think about Jeff Bezos, when you think about Netflix, all of their implementing in the beginning was not about getting rich today. It was not about making money today. It was always about tomorrow. Amazon was always reinvesting on structural things that made sure Amazon would be successful in the future. And now it's the number one company in the world. Think about Apple. Think about all the companies that are number one in the world. Just 30 years ago, what were they worth? Now think about if we could get, it doesn't take that much money to have a startup. I was having this debate with a friend who was telling me that you can't do anything. We have to get rid of pessimistic people. Get them away from us. But he was telling me that you can't, work on black economic empowerment with only $2 million is impossible. That's a small mind. That is a small mind. How much did it take for what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, to build Facebook, the $1 trillion company today, one of the biggest companies in the world, the company that shapes all of our minds, that influences all of our minds? How much did it take for him to start Facebook? $0. You start at zero. You start building the framework, and you put one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. You keep doing that, and you end up building and building and building, because it takes one drop of water. One drop of water can create an ocean. So you have to have the patience and understand that it's not going to happen overnight. But if we give ourselves 26 years, what can we build? What can we build in 26 years? How can we take full ownership of the black dollar? And it's not going to be dollars. It might be bricks, or it might be an African currency. How do we take full ownership? Because at the end of the day, one thing that the white race has over us, or the West has over us, one thing that they have over us is technology. And if we don't innovate, if we don't join in on the technology, and it's really not the West, they have ownership of it, but the West, America is really what I'm talking about. America imports the world's brightest minds. So it's not like white people have that. Yes, America is controlled by white people today. It might not be tomorrow, but America imports minds from all over the world to build up on it, and then they just brand it with a white man on top of it. But he has people from all over the world building his company. He has people from all over the world building his technology. So why can't we do that in Africa? Building the schools, building the institutions, building the businesses, investing in Africa, investing in our land. Check out Wigwe University, great university that's being built in Nigeria. Building our own people. And when we do that, we can create the systemic change that we need to make the change that we want to see in the world. Think about it. Think about it. The last point that I made was, how can you go to, it was back to what I said, how can you go to your neighbor's house? So we have to stop complaining as black people and saying, oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're not helping us. They're not investing in us. Woo, 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 woo. Just whining, whinging. And we have to start thinking like Zuckerberg. We have to start thinking like Musk. We have to start thinking like all of them and build our own. And it's not that we don't think like them. It's not like we don't do that. They didn't invent entrepreneurship. It's not like they're geniuses. Like, they've just branded it with whiteness. But that's not the truth. We have plenty of capable African entrepreneurs. But I think as black people, we need to work on educating ourselves on African history, because we have a lot of rich, hyper wealthy black people, ultra wealthy black people that reinvest into the West, because that's what the system has taught us to do. So we need to start decolonizing our minds and putting our money back into black-owned infrastructures and taking a patient, long-term approach to understand that we have the potential in the future to 100% own our stuff and control our minds, because by 2050, I repeat, 1 in 4 people on the planet will be African. Now, how can we today build and control tomorrow? One way that we can build and control tomorrow, let me go through a negative thing, and then I'll talk about a positive thing. So let's look at Michael Jackson. Unfortunately, this is what we need to stop doing. We need financial literacy. We need to stop being ignorant and making moves like this. So what happens, right? Michael Jackson's estate. So basically his family, probably people like Jermaine Jackson and people like that, not naming names. I don't know if it's Jermaine, but his estate essentially sells his music. They sell 50% of his masters for $600 million, valuating his entire catalog at $1.2 billion. What insane nonsense. Michael Jackson fought not only to own and control his masters, he bought other artists' masters. He bought Eminem's masters. He bought so many people's masters because ownership is the foundation. Ownership is the most important thing to make sure that we grow and we thrive. Michael Jackson bought all of these people's masters and made sure he fought to own his. And now people, his family, his estate is selling off his masters. Like they say in the comment section here, he would be rolling in his grave. And so we need to stop doing things like this. We need to stop doing things like this. This is what, and who do they sell it to? They sell it to Sony Music, a white-run organization. And don't get it twisted. Sometimes they might have a black CEO, but it's still owned by white people, owned and controlled. So white supremacy will always be, at the forefront of things like that. It just is the way it is. So we need to start focusing on ownership. Michael Jackson owned his masters. He fought for that. And look what happens. Part of his family sell it off. There's Michael Jackson. There's another story that I saw that made me scream. What's his name? Fabio Foreign? Oof. When we get our hands on money, when we get our hands on capital as black people, we need financial literacy so that we stop making the same stupid mistakes. Reinvesting the money back into white society. What is it? Like the black dollar circulates within the black community for seconds. So we're not even trained to keep our money. We hand it back to white people immediately. We need to start reframing our minds and focusing on keeping our money within the black community. I'm trying to find this. Wow. I send myself a lot of stuff. Fabio Foreign, where is it? My goodness. Anyway, Fabio Foreign was talking about how he basically blew all his money that he got in his deal. He got a couple, his deal was like $1.7 million or something. And he just tells us how he went broke. Right? And it's so unfortunate because it could have been avoided. He could have turned that into wealth. And so when we get the opportunity, which is rare, when black people get the opportunity to have our hands on money, we need to start being wiser. We need to start investing our money wisely. Stop plundering and throwing it away. I can't find this article. I send myself so much stuff. I don't even know when I sent this. Give me a moment. Let me find it. I don't even know how many days ago was this. No, I've passed it. Let's try one more time. It was a few days ago that I saw this story. Fabio Foreign. Okay, let's go back. I think I passed it. But either way, you get the story, you get the gist of it. He essentially gets all this money and blows it immediately. So we need to stop doing that as black people. We need to start learning how to invest our money, create wealth with our money. When you get a check as a black person, that's a check for all black people. You need to think about all black people, the collective. How can you yourself be wealthy? The more black people that are wealthy, the more that we have the ability to divert our dollars where we want to divert our dollars. All right, let's look at this. So let's look at this solution to, the issues around Black economic empowerment. Check this out.
Less than 1% of the designers sold on major department stores' website.
Okay.
So McKinsey released a study. So by the year 2030, we're going to spend, Black people are going to spend $70 billion a year on apparel. The other thing that was interesting about that study is that Black people are 3 times more likely to switch brands if it's a Black founder or Black created brand. That just really happened, I think, after 2020. I feel like after 2020, we all were like, if we're going to make it, we got to take care of ourselves. And so with that, though, that's a huge, I think, opportunity for brands, is a huge opportunity for an investor who wants to really invest in Black brands as well, because consumers are now ready to shop the Black brands. But the challenge is we don't have the infrastructure. So imagine if we had like an LVMH, like a holding company, less than 1% of the designers company, an LVMH or Kering or Tapestry or, an Authentic Groups type brand or something like that, that was a holding company that provided all of the infrastructure for Black designers. Like, think about that, right? And they provided all the operations, the manufacturing partnerships. That's what we've been missing. Like, if we had that, the opportunity for Black brands and where they could go is really limitless. What we've been missing really is the funding, the infrastructure, the operational capacity, the manufacturing. Kind of, you address those things, like there's no limit to how far we can go. And it's kind of crazy that no one has really seen that as an opportunity. But in LVMH.
So I love how she explained the problem and broke down the whole solution. I see some comments here about Fabio Foreign. I will address them shortly. But let's just look at this great solution that this lady provided us, right? Okay, the secret behind LVMH's dominance in the luxury
What exactly
market.
does LVMH do for all of these brands that they have ownership in?
They provide the revenue for those brands. That's a big piece of it, which then allows them to be able to do proper marketing. It also allows them to tap into LVMH's infrastructure. So what is that? Like accounting, manufacturing support, operational support. Like those are the things that a lot of times smaller brands are struggling with. Cash flow, which is a problem for all small businesses.
That's huge.
You don't have to imagine if you could just go create and do the things that you actually love in a business without having to worry about all of the business operations of what it takes. Because that's what takes small businesses out. It's the cash flow. It's the, the accounting piece.
So was Ye correct in his assessment?
But I feel like Ye also could have addressed that. Yeah, absolutely.
So what exactly?
So great interview. I think you should go watch it in general. And I think it kind of answers some of the questions raised in the comments. But let's get into this, right? So the first thing I will say is that we need to start thinking. We need to remember this, right? If you go alone, you can go fast. If you go with a group, if you go together, you can go far. We need to start thinking about going far. We've had a lot of Black people who have gone alone and they've gone fast. And they're alone in that wealth and they put their wealth back into white communities. Let's remember, by 2050, 1 in 4 people on planet Earth will be African, will be Black. So it's about time. We started putting our money into Black-owned businesses, building out the infrastructure of Black wealth, of Black economic empowerment. Black people love to look good. We love to shop, right? It's a kind of a complex. You're going to have to watch some other channels that break down the hygiene Olympics with Black people, the psychology around Black people needing to walk into a room with designer to prove that they're worthy because it gives them proximity to whiteness. Those are some complexes that we need to get rid of. But as it stands today, Black people love luxury. And now how can we ensure that Black people own the entire value chain? This is what Kanye West is fixing right now. You know, he had the whole infrastructure of Adidas, and he used that to, you know, to push his brand. That's what Rihanna is doing with Sephora. She has the whole makeup infrastructure, as this woman broke down, and she's using that. But just like Kanye West, if Sephora decides they want to drop Rihanna, she's nothing without them. And I think she only owns like 50%. That's not only, it's a good amount, right? But when we think about this, what if we own the LVMH infrastructure and therefore we dictated how the money goes? And we have to understand that, yes, we don't start with the money today. Amazon, let's go back to what I said. Facebook, Amazon, these companies started with minimal money. Facebook started with $0. Amazon, he got his first investment. I think he got like $250K from a bunch of different people. But I don't know at what stage it started at zero, but everything starts at zero. At one point, he had an idea and he had $0. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to understand that, yes, we might not make the big money today, but what are the steps that we can take as Black people to start investing into Black-owned businesses? And this is how it addresses something that somebody says here. Somebody commented, it's business, and this is to do with the Masters, right? With Fabio Foreign, or maybe Michael Jackson, I'm not sure. It's business. Artists sign a contract. It is what it is. These artists need to stop signing these contracts if they have a problem with it. Not everyone can own their masters. The labels provide a lot of benefits that artists can't do for themselves on a big scale. This is exactly the infrastructure, everything that this lady was talking about that LVMH provides, that's what labels provide. But in 2024, in 2020, you don't need a record label anymore. We need to start owning the infrastructure, especially with music these days. The money is made in different ways. You don't need a label anymore in 2022. You just need music literacy. And there needs to be a whole new redesign of the business model of music. You know, that's on one end, but if we're just talking about business in general, I'm okay with there being labels. I just want them to be Black owned and non-exploitative and non sort of relying on, you know, on the coattails of a bigger white run business. A lot of the scams that we hear about Black entrepreneurship is riding on the coattails of white run businesses. And at the end of the day, when they want to slash their budgets, when they want to defund you, when they want to put you out of business, when they want to fire you, they do that. So long as we don't as long as we don't own the entire value chain, we are a guest in somebody else's house. So it's about time that Black people start empowering ourselves. And that's what today's conversation is about. If not, what happens? We get into the same. How did we start this conversation? We go through the issues that Snoop Dogg is facing. With Snoop Dogg, his products being sabotaged at Walmart. We go through the problem with Issa Rae. All her shows are getting defunded and canceled. You know, Amazon decides it's going to pull the plug in from African content. Why? Because we're making a lot of noise. Africa is making a lot of noise. We have a lot of influence and impact. It's crazy because when you think about it, you think about the fact that the Grammys got popular. A lot of that was the noise that we made in Africa. A lot of these institutions, they use our hype. They use our popularity. They use our talents. They use all these things, right? But what do they do with it? And this is how the conversation even started in the first place. When we're looking at the Grammys, when we're looking at the Super Bowls, who's playing at the Super Bowl? All these Black athletes. Who's performing a talent? Sure, they don't have to choose a Black talent today. They might choose another one, but a lot of the white talent that they have are appropriating Black culture. Okay, let's look at the Grammys. Who's performing? Who made when you look at the whole Grammys last week, every single person was Black there. All the talent is Black there. There are like 4 or 5 white famous people. I was actually thinking about it. There are no more white traditional famous people anymore. Have you noticed that? I was looking at it. It was just so hard. Like, okay, leave a comment down below. Who is white and famous? And yes, you're going to say Taylor Swift, but there are no But there are way more black famous people now. It's just what I'm saying. There's some white famous, but there's just not many of them anymore. And it's interesting, like, if like fame has transitioned out of music, but in the music industry, think about it. Because a lot of like white talent is not sort of mainstream anymore. You know, it's not like the Tom McDonald guy that I've never heard of, that he did a song with Ben Shapiro. Yeah, I'm sure Republicans know who he is, but the rest of the world don't know who he is. Who is that? The right wing know who he is. So it's interesting how white is becoming less and less mainstream. And they're using the popularity of black talent. So I think the Grammys has come a long way, because when it started out, I'm sure there weren't that many black people there. There probably weren't that many black people there. And today we dominate the whole Grammys. So what if we decide, and look at this, right? They use us for our attention, our clout, and our talents. We come to their awards show, we bring them the attention, we bring them all of this stuff, and then they reward second best Taylor Swift because she's white. I love Taylor. I know it sounds rude what I just said, but think about it. That's what's happening. So what if black people said, we're boycotting the Grammys? We're not going to the Grammys anymore. We're boycotting. What happens if black people say that? What happens? What happens? And that's just that. That's just what I have to say about that. What if we boycott it? I'm more interested in us building black wealth. And that's what this video is about. That's what this live stream has been about. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching Brand Video Pro. I am your host, Kenim. Make sure you check out, I'm trying to, boom, hit me up for a consultation. Hit me up for a consultation. I'll say it again. Hit me up for a consultation, a one-on-one. And if, my prices are pretty good, but if it's too expensive for you, what we do at Auto Create is we do consulting. And I think for this channel, what might be most interesting to you is content marketing consulting. But also there is business consulting, all the stuff we talked about in this video. If you have a business and you want to figure out how can you monetize, what are the next steps you need to take, how should you build out the infrastructure, hit up this Harvard Business School student and I will give you the lowdown. There's not just that. There's also the content marketing, right? There's content marketing. And with content marketing, we're just going to talk about, I give you a consultation. I'll help you build out your social media and make sure you boom. And if my prices are too expensive for you, join my membership. Join Content Mastery Academy here on YouTube. Click the join button. And on there, I have these one-on-one consultations with people. And you can learn from that. So those are way more affordable. It's only like $24 if you get Content Mastery. But if you want me to give you a customized plan to help you with your pain points to build out your business, well, I would suggest you book a one-on-one with me on Auto Create. Auto/create.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.